The wind was sharp that evening as a single dad named Mark stood outside the brightly lit auditorium, holding a slightly crumpled invitation in his hand. He looked exhausted, still in his dusty work boots from a long shift at the construction site. His son, 7-year-old Liam, held onto his arm with the kind of excitement only a child can have. Tonight was supposed to be their moment, a break from their hard routine. But even before they reached the entrance, Mark felt eyes judging him. People in clean clothes walked past, whispering, staring, and pretending not to let their kids look at the man who clearly didn't fit in. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. He didn't want Liam to see how nervous he really was. But the moment they stepped toward the entrance, a tall security guard blocked their way. Mark lifted the invitation, hopeful, but the guard barely looked at it before shaking his head. "Sir, this event is private. You need to step aside." Mark tried to explain, but more guards approached. They formed a wall around him as if he were a threat. Liam grabbed his father's jacket, frightened, as one guard reached out to push Mark back. Before anything worse could happen, a sharp voice cut through the tension. "Stop!" Everyone turned. A teenage girl in a navy blue dress marched toward them with anger burning in her eyes. She looked familiar to many. She was Rachel, the daughter of General Samuel Wright, one of the most respected military leaders in the entire state. She stepped right between Mark and the guards. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "He's trespassing," one guard replied. "We're escorting him out." Rachel glared at them. "He's not trespassing. He's with me." A wave of confusion swept through the guards. People around them stopped whispering and started listening. Rachel pointed straight at Mark. "Do you even know who he is?" Mark blinked. He had no idea what she meant. Rachel turned so the crowd could hear her. "This man saved my father's life." An instant silence fell over the entrance. Even Liam looked up at his father in surprise. Rachel continued, her voice trembling with emotion. 3 years ago, when that building downtown collapsed, my dad was trapped inside. Firefighters couldn't reach him in time. But this man standing right here, ran in when everyone else ran out. He pulled my father out just seconds before the rest of the building came down. The guards' eyes widened. People around them froze, stunned. Mark swallowed hard, suddenly remembering that day. He didn't know the man he saved was a general. He just remembered hearing someone screaming for help and running toward it. Rachel stepped closer to him. "My father spent years wishing he could thank the person who saved his life. And here you are, being treated like you don't belong." The guards instantly stepped aside, apologizing. Mark held Liam close, trying to keep himself together. He wasn't used to being the center of attention. People who moments earlier avoided him were now looking at him with guilt on their faces. Rachel knelt down to Liam. "Are you ready to perform tonight?" Liam nodded shyly. "Good," she said warmly. "You two are coming inside with me." Inside the auditorium, everything looked grand. Crystal lights, polished floors, parents in suits and dresses. But this time, people didn't look at Mark with judgment, they looked at him with respect. Rachel walked them down the aisle toward the front. As she did, a tall figure spotted them and slowly rose to his feet. It was General Wright. He approached Mark, and the room fell into a heavy, respectful silence. "You," the general said softly, his voice unsteady. "I've been trying to find you for 3 years." Mark shook his head gently. "You don't need to thank me. I just did what anyone should do." "No," the general replied, emotion thickening his words. "You did what many were too afraid to do. You saved my life. You saved a father." Before Mark could say anything else, the general pulled him into an embrace. It wasn't formal or forced, it was raw, filled with gratitude. When they pulled apart, the entire auditorium erupted into applause. People stood up, clapping for the dusty-booted single dad who'd quietly carried the weight of life on his shoulders. Liam looked at his father with wide eyes, as if seeing him for the first time. A hero. His hero. The ceremony started soon after, and Liam performed with more confidence than he had ever shown before. When the children finished singing, the general stepped up to the microphone. He told the entire audience the full story, how Mark had risked everything with no thought for reward. How true heroes sometimes live quiet lives. How kindness, even when done in silence, echoes louder than people realize. As the general spoke, Mark couldn't stop the tears that fell. Years of struggle, loneliness, and exhaustion seemed to lift from him little by little. He felt seen. Respected. Human. After the ceremony, Rachel caught up to them again. "My dad wants you both over for dinner this weekend," she said with a bright smile. "He wants to thank you properly." Mark nodded, still overwhelmed. "We'd be honored." As they walked toward their old car, Liam tugged at his sleeve. "Dad, were you really scared when the building fell?" Mark picked him up and held him close. "Yeah," he said honestly. "But sometimes, you help because someone needs you. Kindness doesn't wait for courage, it creates it." Liam rested his head on Mark's shoulder with a soft smile. "You're my hero." Mark hugged him tight, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. The sky above was dark, but the world around him suddenly seemed so much brighter. That night, as they drove home with the windows cracked open and the cool air brushing their faces, Mark realized something powerful. The kindness you give without expecting anything in return somehow finds its way back to you, sometimes when you need it most. And in that moment, Mark understood that no matter how hard life gets, kindness will always be the one thing that can change everything.